HeyImAmethyst here. For those who are returning, welcome back to another video on my channel. And for those who are new here, welcome. I know that this is quite a very unusual video given the fact that I have a new PNG tuber model. I was going to try and test it out on stream, but yeah, I something interesting happened over the last couple of days, and I just wanted to try and make a quick video giving to talk about my thoughts on the situation. I'm still making the 3DS video and also another video talking about the whole EA buyout situation that was happening. So yeah, I know this is a distraction video on top of another distraction video. I'm making the 3DS video, I promise. But yeah, a couple of days ago, one of like some content one content creator that I used to watch that was on hiatus for a pretty long time kind of started making videos, and the statements that he has been making in those videos has been quite concerning, and I have been watching them to try to see what he was saying, and honestly it's been making my blood boil. I it's kind of confusing as to why this person decided to suddenly start making this content. You know what? I'll just get straight into the video and start reacting to the stuff that he has been saying and and everything, because he's posted these videos, right? And and he's been getting a lot of criticism, but he's not listening to the criticism that people have been giving him. So I thought I would try and put my 2 cents in this situation and also talk about why his statements are flawed. So yeah, this is kind of scuffed. This is last minute, quick, or as quick as I can possibly make this. So yeah, obligatory, please do not harass, attack, dox, witch hunt anybody that I mentioned in this video. Please don't attack this person, and try to have a civil conversation in the comments if you so wish. I don't I don't want things to get heated in the comments. I mean, it's bound to happen with the nature of the topic that I'm going to talk about, but we won't be able to have an effective conversation if people are just yelling at each other. So just please be respectful, please be nice. I am going to swear in this video because I'm pretty heated about what this person has been saying. So yeah, I'll just get right on into the video, I guess. So the person that I am talking about is a creator by the name of Andrei Terbea, and I apologize if I'm butchering the pronunciation. But yeah, he's been making a couple of videos that have some pretty conservative views, and it's not, and before, like his previous comment, like his previous content, he would go into the nuances of everything, and it was kind of neutral. He would go into like both sides of the situation and would kind of just, I don't know, just give a neutral take. And it's why me and a lot of people like wanted to like it's like why a lot of people ended up watching his content. And it seems like it's been missing a mark for the past few days, making these videos that are biased towards one side and is ignoring the criticism that he's been getting from the comments that have taken issue with the stuff that he's been saying. So yeah, it's pretty not great. It's kind of giving a bit of a, it's not the exact same situation, but it's a bit of a repeat of the old Neko situation with some of the stuff that he's been saying and the way that he's reacting. So yeah, now I'm going to be doing things a little bit differently in terms of like showing the content, because normally with the way that I show content to you guys, I would download the video, cut up the clips and stuff like that, and kind of take screenshots of everything and everything like that. But the way that I edit my videos, I tend to go into like very detail, which is because I want to try to get things as, you know, accurate as possible and try to, you know, make sure things are correct. I am very picky with the way that I edit my videos. But one downside is that videos take longer than I wish them to take. So if I want to get this out and just say my thoughts on the situation and also continue back to making the other videos that I need to make without taking a million years, I'm gonna try this new method out. If it doesn't work or if it's a little weird, please let me know. I'll try to see if I can find a better method. Or maybe I'll just go back to the old method, who knows. I do use DaVinci Resolve to edit my videos, so if anybody has like a better method or more efficient way to like edit videos in DaVinci Resolve, I'm welcome to suggestions. I kind of don't make any crazy edits or sound effects when I edit my videos, but it still kind of it is kind of tedious having, at least with my workflow. So yeah, I just have this picture-in-picture screen capture of the video that I'm going to react. But one thing that I will note before I put my 2 cents into this video is the J.K. Rowling video, because that's what started this whole thing. So yeah, this is the channel that I've been talking about. So this is the video that people have been taking issue with. And I've watched this video and I could already tell how biased this video is. He started posting after the death of Charlie Kirk, and there's been a whole debate over his death and everything. And of course I didn't say anything about it because busy, and also wasn't sure how. I didn't really feel like I needed to really put my 2 cents into that situation, because of everything. Like, a lot of people have been talking about the situation, and I watched this one, as you can see, but I didn't really have any thoughts. I wasn't really paying attention. I just had it in the background while I was doing something else, so it kind of just went in one ear and out the other. But when I watched this video, I took issue with it because it painted J.K. Rowling in such a better light than, you know, he's pretty much leaning towards like empathizing with J.K. Rowling, and these same sentiments have been kind of echoed in this video, you know, with him talking about Netflix and, you know, forcing, you know, political ideologies, he'd say, or something along the lines of that into children's media. And like, I can have like a whole conversation about that, which I might mention it later. But it rubbed me a wrong way. This was the first video that I've seen, and I didn't even watch that because this video that he posted was just leading towards a conservative view. Like, I could see the bias that he was showing towards them. It didn't take a neutral view. It more talked about, at least from what I've watched so far, it talked about, you know, those conservative sentiments around, you know, feeding children certain information. And I will talk about this later when I get to it, if I can remember to. But this is the video that I had ended up watching in full, and I just ended up becoming, you know, put off by it because, you know, like, if I can like move my character, this is like incredibly scuffed, but but you know, this video where he just talks about, you know, J.K. Rowling's and Emma Watson's like relationship, and he just kind of paints J.K. Rowling as like this hard-working woman, you know, who came from poverty and, you know, is gotten to hot water because of her views. And it's like, there have been people in the comments that had said that she didn't come from poverty. She already was surrounded by people and owned a cafe or something. I don't know how true that is, and I don't really care because whatever happened in her past, that doesn't matter because of what she's been doing now. So, like, if she's been through like domestic abuse and poverty and stuff like that, it's sad to see her go through that. Like no woman should have to go through such struggles, but she's using that as a way to harm the LGBTQ plus community, like as I've already discussed in my video talking about my issues within the witchcraft community. Before I've looked deeper into J.K. Rowling, I thought that she was just somebody with way too much money and was just wasting her time on Twitter saying crap. But as I said in that video, I've watched the activist witch video on the subject, the I'm Dumb video, and I realized that she was actively using her money to influence the government over there to make it harder for trans people to live, for like asexuals to live, queer people to live. Essentially, the LGBTQ plus, she's actively going against the LGBTQ plus community. So yeah, she might have went through struggles in her life but that still doesn't excuse her to like do actions that harm other human beings. And with the whole relationship with Emma Watson, like, I'm kind of confused as to why Emma Watson is still associating herself with J.K. Rowling if she says that she's in support of the LGBTQ plus community. Like, if Emma says that she's in support of the LGBTQ plus community, is she not aware of the things that Rowling has been saying on Twitter? She's not aware of the political moves that she's been doing, like meeting up with people and trying to convince people to pass laws in the UK, or I don't know if it's the UK, but I know like trying to pass laws over there to pretty much fuck over the LGBTQ plus community. And I don't know, there's probably more into that situation that I am aware of. I don't know. I haven't looked into that. But if anybody has any more information in regards to that, feel free to let me know, because honestly, if it was just, two friends who had, like, one's conservative, one is, liberal, and they're just fighting over their views and that's it, then I would have just had a neutral take on it, because you can be friends with with the right wing and still have meaningful conversations, because my dad had interacted with like a Republican and he was like joking around with him, and he was even debating whether or not to vote at all because of the political climate that was going on during voting season. And that was the first time that I ever voted, and I didn't really feel all that confident in it because of, how America's political system works. Because I didn't really trust the Democrats. I don't really trust the Republicans. I'm more of somewhere in the middle in regards to issues in America. I want like a stronger military, and I want human rights, but can we have both without, compromising one another? Like, can we, protect our borders without being racist? Like, I don't know. Maybe that's something different entirely. Like, I want a better equality. Like, I want businesses to thrive without, compromising our information and our privacy. I am, give more jobs to Americans without, causing discrimination. Like, can't we have the best of both worlds? Can't we have like a middle ground? Like, I don't know. I ended up voting Democrat because, it just seemed easier, and that's a lot of the people's viewpoints nowadays. It just seems easier to just vote with the party that's just going to that has the power, because at least your voice will be heard. And it's just a predatory system overall, And I don't even know if I want to vote next year, or not next year, but the next presidential election, because I don't even know. It's shitty over here. But, you know, like, you can have, like, all these conversations. You can have, like, conversations with other people that may not have the same political views as you and still treat each other as human, you know? And I was of the impression that if it was just that, you know, a conservative and a liberal just disagreeing on each other's views, and without all the horrible things that Rowling has been doing, yeah, I would have just kind of just left it up to a debate. I wouldn't be upset about that. But because Rowling is the way that she is, I have taken issue with it. And the fact that, you know, Andrei has been just brushing over the issues that Rowling, like the issues surrounding Rowling, like he's making it seem like Rowling is just like somebody who, like, it's just like is just a simple person, you know, and he's not really understanding the damages that, you know, Rowling has been doing to the LGBTQ plus community. And a lot of people had echoed that sentiment in that video. Like, I will bring up the comments here. I don't mind my millions of tabs and everything. ADHD, I'm getting tested for that at the moment. So yeah, so looking at the comments underneath the video, sorry, yeah, so I'll read the comments underneath the video. I have taken screenshots on my phone, but I don't have the energy to go through the whole transfer to a laptop and do all of that right now. So I'll just try and see if I can find the ones that I've seen. But one of the ones that I've seen, like this one right here, completely leaving out the fact that Rowling tweets about trans people 24/7, which she did, and she's also made comments, you know, like a couple months ago about asexual people. Was it aro ace or asexual people? It was one of them. And considering that I'm aro ace, I take offense to that. So yeah, she's been tweeting about false statements about the LGBTQ plus community on Twitter. And yeah, like I mentioned before, and has campaigned for bills that actively hurt British trans women is insane. Yeah, like I mentioned before, Andrei has completely brushed over the fact that the reason why this debate is heated is because Rowling had participated in trying to harm the trans people by you know, using her wealth and her fame to influence the government over there to oppress the LGBTQ plus community. And it's really important because, like, it's really important because, you know, even people who aren't part of the LGBTQ plus community are being harassed simply because they don't look a certain way. Like, this was trending on Twitter maybe a month or two ago about a person who went into a restaurant. She was a girl and she was with her friends, and at one point she went into the bathroom and one of the staff followed her. It was like another woman who followed her into the woman's bathroom and demanded that she show her breast to prove that she belonged in the women's bathroom. And she did, like the person being accused did, but she felt so violated and humiliated, and they were pressing charges. Like, I hope that restaurant chain gets sued, and I hope that staff member got sued and isn't allowed to be put in customer service positions anymore. Because, like, it's like, it goes, like, if you don't look feminine enough and if you don't look a certain way, if you don't look masculine enough and you're a guy, if you don't look feminine enough that you're a girl, you can get harassed for it. And as a woman, that doesn't help at all. That doesn't help at all. And because J.K. Rowling advocates for, like, is concerned about the image for girls and stuff like that, but what she's doing just goes against that. Like, it puts more pressure on these girls. Like, if you don't look feminine enough, then you're this, that, and a third. You'll be falsely accused of being trans or something like that. And the fact that she doesn't realize that she's hurting the people that she's trying to protect is insane. And in the comments that J.K. Rowling had said about asexual people, like a couple of months ago, like the fact that people are having issues or taking issues with asexuals and aromantics, like we just don't feel romantic or sexual feelings towards other people, regardless of your gender or gender orientations and stuff like that. Like, why is it such an issue? And especially because I identify as a woman, like this whole idea of that if you don't conceive children, if you don't have a partner, you're worth it. This is the same old traditional conservative sentiments that have been in society that does nothing but hurt women. Like, and also puts pressure on men too, because what if a man doesn't want to have children and just wants to be with his partner without children? Like, that puts unnecessary pressure on them too. Like, it's stuff that I'm learning in class, like, because I'm taking, you know, history, and we're in the topics focuses around like European history, like history of like the West and stuff like that. Yeah, it's like the same types of mentalities that did nothing but oppress the woman back in the day, and it's still a problem nowadays. Like, y'all don't realize how these attitudes do nothing but hurt women, and it hurts, you know, people. Like in fact that J.K. Rowling just doesn't see, like, it makes my blood boil. But anyway, like, continuing on with reading on the comments, you know, like this comment right here. While nobody deserves death threats, you cannot make me believe that Rowling has moral high ground when she uses her fortune to fund transphobia. Yeah, like, I'll read more into it. Like, yeah. So this one here, J.K. Rowling is so far into her transphobia that she literally started denying Nazi crimes against the trans people to diminish their suffering. There's a lot to be upset about here. Yeah, like, Andrei ends up talking about this comment later in one of his videos. But yeah, I didn't really see her make any comments about the Nazis yet. I haven't seen that from her. I'm not on Twitter a lot, but given her character, I wouldn't be surprised if she made those comments. But yeah, reading, yeah, like another comment says, leaving out so much of her behavior is sad, man. Yeah, there's just like a lot of comments pretty much saying how much he's just leaving out the harm that Rowling has done. This one says, the fact that Joe felt betrayed after Emma said she's here for all the witches during award acceptance speaks for itself. Emma said that after being called a witch by the award presenter, which is only ever speculated to be about trans women whites equality, Joe's instant hostility, how she makes it about herself in her views, being attacked, being stabbed in the back by a friend. It makes me wonder, is it even about trans women's rights at that point, or just plain pettiness and a substantive board evil on her behalf? Like, yeah, I would kind of agree about that. For her to, like, I mean, yeah, I understand that Emma played like one of her characters and everything, but like, you know, betrayed, like, I thought at that point it should have been known that she was, like, she stated before that Emma stated before that she's for like the trans rights. So I don't really understand how it's a surprise to her, or maybe I'm getting things mixed up. But moving on to the next comment, as a transgender fan of you for literally 7 years, this was really heartbreaking to hear. I don't think you understand at all the struggles and motives of trans people, or the things J.K. Rowling has done against us. We are all allowed to have different opinions, but transgender struggles are personal to me. I cannot continue following after this man. Yeah, so pretty much everybody had expressed their disappointment in Andrei after he made this video. Oh, another one here. Hi, Andrei, longtime viewer here. Typically, your content show great nuance when breaking down drama and good research into the inner workings of all parties involved. And I get that political, cultural, war content is engaging, and you're aiming for an enlightened, reasonable, centrist take. You might be motivated to turn down the temperature in the room, and you did not have enough time to prepare, giving commitment to family and restarting your hobby as work. But in a few of your recent videos, you might notice that more informed viewers do not agree with some of the conclusions. If they had dug any deeper into the information on a person who is the subject matter. Read comments, especially the top ones, to see where the conversation is currently at. You have done better and can do better with your platform. Yeah, because like I said at the beginning, I used to watch his content because it was informative and it touched upon the nuance of the parties on both sides. But the recent videos that he's been putting out, like, I've noticed, and everybody else has noticed, is that he's leaning towards the conservative side. And yeah, this is like a comment saying that growing wasn't in poverty, but I don't know how true this is. But yeah, I will move on from this video and I will like move to the other video that I wanted to talk about. But that was just like the first video that I've noticed an issue, and I mean, like, after the Netflix video, but that was the first video that people have started taking interest with, or issue with, I mean. But I don't know if anybody had taken issues with these three, because like I haven't watched those, but it's mainly these videos that I've like kind of listened to and have taken issue with. You know, like these videos right here, like these top ones. I'm sorry, this is like really scuffed, but you know, yeah, it's just these video down here. I don't know if people have taken issues with, or this one right here, but it's just these ones that I'm noticing like there is a shift here. So yeah, I will move on to the other video that I have taken issue with, and it was this response video. And it was the video called How I Became Alt-Right. And I'm going to like react to this video. I'm going to cut out things and like leave the parts that I think are relevant. I feel like I'm going to try and see if this is like, I'm going to see if this is a good way of doing it. And I'll just cut out the parts that are necessary and leave the parts that I want to have my 2 cents in. So yeah.
So I made a video a few days ago talking about the whole J.K. Rowling versus Emma Watson situation, and I tried to approach the topic with as much diplomacy and common sense as I possibly can.
And as much diplomacy and common sense that I can. And like I said before, he did not show a neutral take on the situation. In fact, he left out the whole reason why a lot of people have taken issues with J.K. Rowling. He just made J.K. Rowling seem like, you know, he showed more favor towards J.K. Rowling by the way that he described her. And, you know, like, that's like, you know, not great, because if you're trying, if you're trying to talk about a subject and you want to be neutral, you have to be very, very, very careful of your biases. And his bias is showing here. Like, his bias is showing here, but let me continue.
At the same time, I didn't necessarily hide my own personal bias, which is normal to have if you're a human being. And apparently, I'm an alt-right grifter now? I swear to God I can see the right-wing shift in you. Damn, Andrei, since when are your videos so skewed towards the right? Not sure why I even subscribed to this guy. He has clearly been leaning more right over time. Time to finally unsubscribe. Have you become an alt-right grifter? That is honestly sad to see. So I'm here thinking, wait, what did I say in the video that got people so riled up? I come from a place with a very traditional culture, where values have been passed down for generations, and where people tend to hold on to certain principles that define and hold their communities together. That stands in contrast to much of the Western culture, where rapid modernization and progressivist politics have heavily influenced social identity.
Now, this is where he uses the excuse that he's from Romania, which is like a more conservative type country, which I will bring up in the comments. Like, I'll bring up like other Romanians who have kind of like called him out on his bullshit. But yeah, he's using the fact that he lives in this country as an excuse as to why he has these views. Like, it should be, he doesn't use it as an exclamation, he's using it as an excuse. And it's bullshit, because he is a creator with about 2 million subscribers. He still has access to the internet. And he was easily able to research topics from his previous videos, you know, before he went on hiatus, and looked at both sides and saw the nuance in the situation, as like I mentioned with one of the previous comments. You know, he has the power to go onto the internet and search up on these issues and educate himself on these things. But he did not do that for the videos that I mentioned before, where I mentioned where there was a shift and there was this bias was showing. You're a large creator, Andrei. You have a large influence on your audience. There's no excuse. There's no excuse as to why you can't go on Google, go on Twitter, find some articles, scour the internet and find articles and educate yourself on these issues. I don't understand why it's that difficult. I don't understand why it's that difficult for you to, because you're not being restricted in any way. It's not like you're in Saudi Arabia. You know, I've talked about Saudi Arabia in like my EA buyout recording. I didn't edit the video yet. I'm in the process of doing that. But in the recording, I talk about how in Saudi Arabia, they beat, they imprisoned, and kill, or all of the above, to people who are LGBTQ+. And like, if you lived in a country that's just as conservative, like, heck, I don't even think you would have been able to make a YouTube channel and speak on these matters at all, to be honest. But even though you live in such a conservative country, you still have the power to go on fucking Google, go on Twitter, and learn and read. It's not that hard. And the fact that you're using this as an excuse to justify why you're deciding to hold on to these views, it's ridiculous. Like, just because you live in an oppressive, like in a conservative country, just because you grew up with those values, it doesn't mean you have to keep them. Like, it's your choice if you want to keep them. But given your channel and the amount of influence you have, and the fact that you were neutral before all of this, like, it shows that you, like, I don't even understand what happened. Like, it shows that you have a responsibility to your audience. Like, yeah, this is your channel. You can say whatever opinions that you want on the channel, but, you know, like, you still have a responsibility to your audience. Like, what you say, what you do, it has power. And if you're not going to use that power responsibly, you're going to lose a lot of people, and you're going to end up attracting people who are like-minded than you are. And you criticize this kind of mentality later in one of your other videos of people who just want to, listen to what panders to them. But the fact that you don't realize that you're kind of doing it right now. You're only listening to those who have the same views as you. And you explained it into one of your other, I don't know if you explained it in this one or the other one, the other response that you did, but you said that J.K. Rowling has views that are similar to yours. So you are actively participating and interacting with and reading things and defending people that share the same views as you. That kind of makes you a hypocrite.
Where I'm from, people don't usually talk about ideology. They just live by what they know. The core principle.
The fact that he also labels this human rights issue as like an ideology kind of just says everything at that point. It's not an ideology, it's a human rights issue. Like I just said, it's not somebody trying to promote, trying to feed fantasies into people's head. This is like an actual problem.
A comment on one of my videos that I think captures this very well. He goes, most Americans in this comment section forget that there's a world outside of the US where even now the general population have more conservative views. End quote. I feel like,
yeah, I will agree to an extent about what the comment said that Andrei brought up. Like, sometimes Americans don't really understand that countries kind of operate differently compared to them. Like, like when Americans and they travel and they expect everybody there to like speak English, like, come on, you're in a foreign country, of course they don't speak English. Like, it's just that mentality, and I can understand that it can be very, very frustrating. However, in regards to like this whole topic about, the issue with J.K. Rowling and stuff like that, it's not just an American issue. It is a global issue. Like I said before, Saudi Arabia murders and oppresses the LGBTQ plus community in the country. And, it's not like LGBTQ plus only lives in America. They live everywhere. And the fact that he's just trying to make this into like an American issue really shows how ignorant and uneducated on the subject he really is.
Americans, and particularly left-leaning Americans, are quite ignorant to how other people live around the world and how they think. And to some extent,
and the fact that he also puts this label onto this type of thinking as like left-winged, like he kind of complains about the labels. Like, I don't know if it was in this video or if it was the next video, but he's kind of a hypocrite because he ends up putting labels on these people who are criticizing him for what he said in the J.K. Rowling video.
Extent, I get it. Why should they care? After all, Americans make up just 4% of the world population, but account for about 25% of the global GDP, exporting everything from technology to blockbuster movies, while importing very little in return, especially when it comes to culture. This self-sufficiency makes total sense in a bubble, but then you get conundrums like these, where they force-feed progressive ideas to cultures that are simply just not wired for them.
There was like another comment. Let me see if I can bring this up. I'll bring this up. Yeah. So this comment, they force feed progressive ideas for countries that are simply not wild for them. This is an incredible miss for me. Back in the early days of the United States, we had full-on slavery. Our culture was not wild for social economic equality. But you know what? We fought anyway, and we won. We made life better for anyone. I don't think fighting for a broad future change is ignorant, and I don't see why we should accept cultures that are static and unchanging. And I agree with this comment. Like, I agree with this comment. I don't understand why it's such a bad thing to introduce new ideas into a culture that hasn't, progressed in a while. Like, I do understand that at some point, keeping like tradition and keeping traditions alive is like incredibly important. In the cases of, witchcraft and paganism, I am a full believer of trying to keep these traditions alive and to, preserve them because they're beautiful traditions, and like we have to protect them, right? But we're not saying to just completely rewire the whole country over there and just get rid of the old, values. They tried it with the French Revolution and it didn't work. It simply didn't work. We're learning in this in class, so I'm able to pull up this information. It didn't work. Things just didn't fall into place correctly. A lot of mismanagement, a lot of deaths, a whole 180 isn't exactly the best thing, and some people back in the day, had that same sentiment. Some of the conservatives were like, change can be good, but like over time, have change over time, not change overnight. And I agree with that segment. Don't try to force, completely overhaul the culture over there. Just like gradually introduce, ideas and, and cultures over there, and be tolerant, be respectful, and everything like that. Like I'm also of that point. Like, if there are traditions down in the country that Andrei lives in that are precious to him and are precious to the community, then yeah, like there's some traditions, preserve that, protect those. But if these traditions aren't exactly benefiting anybody and they're just hurting like a large group of people, it probably might be time to make a change. Change isn't always bad. The thing that's always constant is change. You can't be afraid of change. It's gonna happen whether you like it or not. And in this case, like, introducing, better toleration for the LGBTQ+ community in those more conservative countries, like, we're not here to bite you. Like, we just have a different way of expressing ourselves, like, and living our lives and feeling comfortable in our own skin. I will say that there are some bad actors out there who use their identity to harm people, and it's going to happen. It happens with a lot of things, especially with religion. A good example is Christians being jerks. It happens with a lot of religions and ideas, like, because with people who say that they're trans, they transition from a male to a female and they identify as female, but then they use that to sexually harass women. Like, I feel like regardless of your gender identity and your sexual orientation or whatever that you may be, however you identify, if you're using anything as an excuse to commit a crime, you should be punished, and you should be punished and put to jail. Like, yeah, I understand that there are some bad actors out there, but we as a whole shouldn't be punished for those who want to act out and for those who want to ruin it for everybody. Like, back in school when a whole class would get mad and get punished because the few students in the back are goofing off and fooling around. Like, we all hated that at school when the teacher would punish the whole class because of the select few. So why are we doing that to groups of people? Most of us are just normal people. Like, I believe, like I said this before in a couple of my videos now, like, I believe that LGBTQ+, like, these traits should just be normalized. It's just part of the human experience, you know? Like, it shouldn't, it's just like another thing about you and I. We shouldn't be, like, demonized for it, and I don't really think that we should be praised heavily for it either. It should just be a normal thing. And the fact that, you know, the fact that he's just completely ignoring the fact that, you know, that's not what we're asking. We're not asking for, like, complete overhauls. And I know that there's going to be some extremists on the far left who may think that way, but the general population, the general of us who have these opinions, don't think that, and that's not what we're asking for. We just want more acceptance for the LGBTQ+ community and for other issues going on in the world, you know, protect women, you know, like, protect the children, you know, protect the LGBTQ+ community, like, you know, without using it as an agenda to promote something else oppressive, like, I'm lying you AI ID and gender, you know, but yeah.
But that's just not a regular thing in life. And that's not because I'm intimately known a trans person and cultures that are simply just not wired for them. I've never personally known a trans person and probably never will at this point in my life. And that's not because I'm intolerant or I'm a horrible person, but that's just not a regular thing around here, and I have other priorities in life than to go to seek them out myself. So
oh shit. Sure. This is bullshit. The whole thing is you said that your country, Romania, is a conservative country. So of course you're not going to be meeting trans people and LGBTQ+ people in your day-to-day life because they're closeted. They haven't came out yet. They don't feel safe coming out in that environment, knowing that the people around them are just going to judge them and harass them simply because they're trans or LGBTQ+. It's furious. I bet your ass that you have met a trans person, that you have met somebody who's LGBTQ+, but they haven't told you because they didn't feel safe telling you. And I can understand why, because of the stuff that you're saying here. Like, of course, you're not going to knowingly meet any LGBTQ+ people in your life just because they don't feel safe in the environment that they're in. They're not just limited to the USA or the UK. They're literally all over the globe. As I mentioned before, Saudi Arabia kills people of the LGBTQ+ community. They kill them, they beat them, they harass them. So of course you're not going to see them because they haven't made themselves known to you. And I will try to see if I can find another creator, another comment. Oh yes, yes. Like this comment right here is this comment right here. Let me bring up the comments. So it's this comment right here. Hey man, I watched you for a long time, and for what it's worth, I'm an animated too. I'm Romanian too. The way you describe our culture in the beginning can be true in some cases, but I promise you it's not universally applicable, especially in the younger communities, the ones that watch you. People can be very progressive. This is also the case in the Romanian animation industry. There are so many trans people everywhere, but they usually choose not to come out. I promise you there's a huge chance you know a trans person. Yeah, like, it, like, you're making it seem like it's a chore to go out and search for these trans people, but that's not what we're asking you. And that's not what we're asking you. And you're like, you don't necessarily have to seek us out to support us, to like see and understand our struggles. You don't have to meet us in person for these things. And I'll also read the rest of the comment here because he also talks about stuff that I've already mentioned previously. Also, the progressive left Americans force feeding us ideas is not quite right. The true imbalance comes from within every color once an idea gets exposed, and how different parts of the culture interact to that idea. We're both fortunate enough to be part of our community, a community that values empathy, understanding, and true self-expression. Trans people have found a more welcoming environment in this community, and I assume this is why there are so many responses to your video. J.K. Rowling is a deeply horrible human that has pushed for the erasure of right for trans people, not only in things such as bathrooms and sports, but also in healthcare. Her rhetoric is similar to the racists of the early 20th century. It promotes violence in a world that has already called trans people the enemy. But it's understandable you didn't know too much about it. I would suggest that you look into this topic further and hear out some trans views too. Yes, Romania doesn't have a two-party system, but we absolutely have alt-right parties that even define themselves as alt-right. While it's true that our politics don't perfectly mimic the American ones in how our government is structured, politics happens everywhere in life, not only in the capital. I think the protest for Gaza and against women abuse and I can't pronounce that. And not only the progressive people that are fighting for equality are also fighting for trans rights. Trans issues are talked about here, maybe not on the mainstream news, but I talk about them with my friends, my family, my work, and my uni, and my friends talk about that with others and so on. This issue matters, and protecting minorities matter. Yeah, like I don't understand why he's making it seem like it's a chore to support trans rights and LGBTQ rights. I don't understand what is so hard in just treating us like normal human beings. I don't understand why it's hard to just treat everybody like human beings. Like, I just don't understand it.
If you're looking for a trans ally in me, you're not gonna find one. And again, I'm not saying this to be mean, but it's just mathematics. To be a
bullshit. I call bullshit on that. I call bullshit on that. I call bullshit on that. I call heavy bullshit on that. And there was a comment. Yeah, there was a comment by Ginja Ninja, and they have responded, you have to personally meet someone to think they deserve rights? And I'm gonna like that. Yeah, like, you don't necessarily have to meet somebody to support them. Like, again, I'll bring up the stuff that I've been learning in class, like the Enlightenment, and then like the scientific revolution, the Enlightenment, and then going on to the Industrial Revolution, like, and literature that had come out during these times, and then moving on towards women's rights in the Victorian era. Like, throughout these time periods, literature has been written and passed around. People have gotten their hands on this literature, read them, see what the authors were, agreed with their points, and decided to support them and their cause. Specifically, in the women's rights movement for like suffrage, and the Victorian era, pamphlet protests has been conducted. They defaced like the coin and stuff like that. There were like confrontational protests. The women were arrested and they were treated horribly in these prisons. And then they would get rearrested and stuff like that. I really encourage anybody who is interested in the subject to go online and do your research on this, because I'm currently learning this in class, so I'm able to like talk about this and connect this to what we're talking about. But people have gotten word of what's been happening, and they've been seeing the people behind these views and these messages and these movements, and they chose to support them even though they haven't met them personally. It's happened throughout history for hundreds of years. People getting their hands on a piece of artwork, a piece of literature, a newspaper. They see what's going on. They see all these people, and they're protesting, and they're writing all these poems and articles, and they're seeing this, and they're getting influenced by these. And if it aligns with their their values and their morals, they choose to support them. And even with the whole communism, with the Communist Manifesto by I forget the dude. Like, I'm not great at names, but the people that were behind the Communist Manifesto, and later on it gets other people read it, and they try implementing their own kind of versions of it, if you know what I'm talking about. And yeah, these people have never met these people, like the authors behind the Communist Manifesto, but they read this, they say, oh, this kind of aligns with my ideas and my values, so I'm going to choose to support this. It's been done for hundreds of years. This argument that he made is bullcrap, because people have been supporting people that they haven't met for hundreds of years. He's just using this as another excuse not to support the cause. Like, I can't understand. I don't understand it. It doesn't make any sense.
An ally to something means to know that subject, to have real-life experience with it, or to have some sort of skin in the game. I have neither of those things, and in my opinion, most of the so-called trans allies do it either for some sort of financial or reputational benefit, or out of fear of being cancelled, or both.
I again say bullshit to that. I again say bullshit to that. That's not true. Up until a couple of months ago, I identified myself as straight. And even though I saw myself as straight, human rights has been a very important thing to me. And as a Black woman living in America, it's especially important to me because, being African American and having to deal with the institutionalized racism that's been put in place in our government, I really place value in human rights. And to hear about these human rights violations against other people simply because of their sexual orientation, because of their gender identity, it's quite baffling that we still have to be going through this bullshit. Even now, it's 2025. It's 2025. Have we not learned? Have we not learned from our past? Like, I just don't understand why it's so hard for people to just treat people with respect regardless of their religion or who they identify as or who they want to be with romantically, or who they not want to be with. Because me personally, being a race, I don't want to be with anybody. There are people who are like that, and I discussed this in the kind of sentiment is echoed in my my EA video that I will put out, don't worry, that these people say, these Sims creators say that they're for the LGBTQ+ community, and then they don't show their support when we need them the most. Like, yeah, there are people like that who do exist. But the fact that Andrei is saying it shows that he's uneducated, and he doesn't understand that that's not what allies feel when they say that they're an ally. They're not doing it most of the people who are truly allies aren't doing it because of those reasons that he mentioned, because they do it because they genuinely believe in human rights. And as somebody who considered themselves straight up until like a couple months ago. Like, that's how I felt, and that's how the majority of people felt. The people who only do it for those reasons, like for clout or for fear of being canceled, like, those aren't true allies, because when the time comes when we really need their support, they kind of show it in their actions. And when we know, and we do notice that, we notice when these people aren't supporting us like they claim that they are. And it has been noticed in the Sims community recently. And the fact that, you know, Andrei is just saying it like that to say that the whole ally sentiment is bullcrap. It's, what are you saying is bullcrap? Like, it's just really disappointing hearing the words that are coming from this man's mouth.
That's why when I listen to J.K. Rowling, for example, her point of view sounds much closer to mine than the outrage around her that floods the internet. I'm not even saying that J.K. Rowling is some sort of angel without a fault, by the way. I don't know her, and quite frankly, I don't care to study every single word that she's ever said on the topic. As for the term alt-right, in my country, there's not even such a thing as left or right. We don't have a two-party system. Political ideology is very scattered across existing parties.
Yeah, like the comment already mentioned, the faults within like his statements about Romania, like his claims on Romania's political system. But yeah, I'm going to backtrack to what he was saying about J.K. Rowling, and the fact that he's saying that it was something that her views aligned with his, that automatically should be a red flag, because J.K. Rowling's views, his views on the whole trans rights, is that trans people don't deserve rights. They don't deserve healthcare. They don't deserve this. They don't deserve that. This, that, and the third. And the fact that he's saying that he doesn't want to research heavily on the topic and research everything that J.K. Rowling said, it truly shows that he's choosing not to educate himself on the issue. Because if he would just take a couple seconds, a couple minutes to an hour researching about the subject, like he's done in his previous videos, by the way, like he would understand why this is such a really, really important issue that people hold important, you know? And we're not saying for you to compile a 50-page Google Doc and take screenshots. We're just asking you to at least get a general understanding. And the fact that you're not even willing to do that as a channel, as the type of content that you make, the fact that you don't want to do your due diligence and research about a very important subject that affects hundreds upon thousands or even billions of people, it's saddening. Because the oppression, that the harassment that's falling on the trans people and also for the rest of the LGBTQ+ community, it won't just end with them. It will extend to people who are straight, who are cis, you know, like I've mentioned before, because of the people will try to look at you and say, you say that you're a woman, but you don't look woman enough. You must be trans. You should get harassed. Oh, you're a man, but you don't look man enough. You must be trans. You should get harassed for that. And I don't understand how he doesn't understand how this ends up affecting everybody, and everybody's going to get harassed because they don't fit into what's considered, you know, normal for like, you know, and don't fit into like the gender norms. This affects everybody. I don't understand how this is so difficult for you to comprehend.
With alliances often being made for convenience between factions who should, in theory, stand on opposing sides. Even the parties that would theoretically fit that quote-unquote far-right label have more than once voted alongside mainstream parties against the interest of the people when it suited them. So left and right are both foreign concepts here. Don't try to fit me in your categories of left and right, because again, even politically, there's a whole different ecosystem where I'm from. Now, I'm not sure if the rigid American two-sided way is a feature or a bug, but what I can say is that from my perspective as an outsider, it boxes people in.
And he's like, this is what I mentioned before, where he's saying like the labels, you know, ends up boxing people in. But the language that he's been using throughout this video puts a label and generalizes a lot of the comments that are criticizing him in this video. He's saying like all these leftists, these extremists, you know, it's just like pushing a narrative, blah blah blah. They're like this, they're that, and all these are Americans that are pushing back. Like, you're putting labels on us, and not all of us are Americans. You know, these are people from all over the world that have taken issue. Even people from your own country that have taken issue with the comments that you've stated. So I don't understand why you're complaining here when you're doing the same thing.
Very much limits choices for anyone who wants to dive into politics. It also sets up this perfect storm for heavy indoctrination to take root, and for individuals on both sides to get constantly pitted against each other. In places like the UK or the US, questions on gender identity are everywhere. Schools talk about it, the media covers it daily, politicians debate it, laws change around it. Transgender people are very much visible. Here, that is not a topic of discussion.
Yeah, like what the comments said before that I mentioned before with that one Romanian person, like he said that it's not in mainstream media, but it's talked about locally. Like, it's still an issue in your country. It may not be covered by the news, but it's still an issue. Yeah, just the language that he uses pretty much paints the left as like these, you know, ignorant extremist people. And I just don't, you know, I can't.
Simply isn't. What also baffles me is the sheer arrogance of some of the more intense left-leaning people who commented on my previous video. Not all of them, just to be clear, but I'm talking about the type of people who get a sick pleasure from bullying creators into submission. And I bet they expected me to come out with an apology saying something like, "Oh, thank you for educating me. Please don't cancel me." And if that's the case, sorry, I'm not afraid of this hive mind mentality. I'm not afraid of being cancelled. I've cancelled myself by not even being active on YouTube these past few years. And it's the most liberating feeling to not be tied to any commitment, but instead to be able to say whatever I believe to be true. There is nothing you can do to me. Now, I do empathize.
This is the same bullshit statement that 𝗂𝗚 made when she was getting backlash for the AI video that she made and for misgendering, for misgendering Ginger Ninja. I can't believe I'm free from all of these people. I can be free. I'm free to be myself and stuff like that. It's condescending. It's extremely condescending to look at the audience to look at the people that are expressing their opinions to you and just dismiss them and be all condescending, like, "Oh, I'm free from these people, blah 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 blah." And I just don't understand why you think that this is acceptable. I just don't understand why you think this is okay. You get mad at people. You're getting mad at these people because they're not allowing you to like voice your opinions, but you're dismissing their opinions. And most of the people that are commenting on your video, they're not even of the extreme variety. Like, they're just people who are telling you respectfully why your comments are causing, or why they've taken issue with your comments. And I don't understand why you just think that it's like all the extremists that are coming under your video. Like, I don't understand how you can even miss Ginger Ninja's comments, you know, because everybody recognizes Ginger Ninja. Like, there's no way you didn't see their comment. There's no way you didn't see their comment. But you're choosing to ignore the comments that have the most likes, that are at the top of your video, and you're choosing comments that are not all of them that he's choosing. Like, he's choosing most of the comments that he's responding to are comments that probably aren't friendly, that probably weren't even, you know, giving constructive criticism. You know, like he does this in like his other latest video that he made, but I mean, but just like in this video, he kind of generalizes the comments as like all these like extremist people, and it's not even that. It's not even that. And the fact that he's just saying, "Oh, these are haters" and stuff like that. Like when the video came out, like the latest video on his channel that came out, and I watched it, and I was looking at the comments. Early on, a lot of the comments were people in support of Andrei, and they were lumping us into like the same category. Like I I feel like what I'm saying to any of you guys that are watching this, like I'm not the greatest at words. I'm sure you can understand what I'm trying to say and how frustrated I am with the comments that Andrei has been saying.
With people who have followed my content for years, and because I never really spoke about my core values or political views, they may have gotten the wrong impression about what I stand for. About my core ties with people who believe to be true. There is nothing you can do to me. Now, I do empathize with people who have followed my content for years, and because I never really spoke about my core values or political views, they may have gotten the wrong impression about what I stand for. And I will admit that at times the leftist propaganda on YouTube even got me fooled, and I may have regurgitated leftist talking points without even realizing it. But as I took a step back, I let all of that wash off of me. So to those who may feel betrayed, I respect your decision to unsubscribe if that's what you want to do. To be honest, I myself was surprised to see how different a portion of my audience sees things. I guess this goes to show how far people's perspectives can drift away when years pass and you don't really keep a steady connection to them. But I'm not even sure what exactly offends them other than the fact that I'm not a carbon copy of the influencers who pander to the leftist echo chamber ideology. And
the fact that he's saying that these people that he's responding to are just in their own echo chambers, and again saying that this isn't like an ideology when he's doing the same thing, it's disheartening, it's frustrating. And the way that he just talks down to us, these people that are responding to, like, it's not a good look, it's unprofessional, it's condescending. And the fact that you said that these were your core values, like, I don't understand, because before you were neutral. Like, I didn't even know that if you were the left, quote unquote, or the right. I didn't care. You were giving videos that were neutral. So I don't understand why you think that, at least from the video that I've been seeing, that I've been, you know, rewatching and showing you guys, so from the video, he paints it like Andrei paints the left as like these horrible, obsessed, extremist people. And honestly, I don't understand why he's suddenly coming out and behaving in this manner, because it's not like, you know, I don't know. I'm just as confused as a lot of people, because he was neutral before, and he's saying that he's conservative, but like this is like the type of like stuff that I take issue with, like whether you're on the left or whether you're on the right. Like, you're on the right and like you're on one side of the political scale, and you are making all these statements that degrade people from the opposite side. And again, like, I'm somewhere in between. Like, I don't mind you guys having your opinions, whether you be on the left or on the right, as long as you have a debate and you guys are respectful of, you know, your views and each other's views. Like, the whole point of having a debate is presenting your case, you know, giving reasons why, showing evidence, letting the other side present their case, you know, stating their views, showing evidence, and you go back and forth. And you sometimes, depending on the debate, you go in and you look at, you count arguments and, you know, try to debate those. Like, it doesn't hurt for you to go into the other side and then research as well. Like, with the statements that our president have been making, he's doing what Andrei was doing in this video, making it seem like it's the left or it's the Democrats that are causing these issues, and they have this mindset and is, trying to do this, that, and the third. And it's a necky feeling. I don't like it at all.
Centrist. The last few videos. Then there is another type of reaction that I got with someone saying I'm too centrist. The last few videos you've returned with feel apathetically centrist. You're unable to take a hard position for what is right and what is wrong, and too focused on a neoliberal position of being as in the middle as possible. It's incredibly disappointing. To which someone else replied with, people don't need to have a hard stance on everything. Seeing both sides helps you see the whole picture and not just what you want to see. And I think this really shows the root of the problem.
Yeah, I do agree with the last comment that he made here, but I'm taking issue with how he's using it because, Andrei is not looking at both sides of the situation. He's leaning towards his bias and he's not listening to the other side of the situation. It's kind of funny how he brings up that comment and he's going to comment on it, but he's doing the opposite of what he's preaching.
People don't want nuance or genuinely personal opinions. They want to hear ideas that are already established and extreme on one side or the other. Even showing a little consideration for the opposing view is seen as weakness. And if you happen to hold a strong opinion but it lands on the opposite sides of what your audience believes, heaven forbid, you're instantly dismissed or condemned.
And it's funny because he just said that he came from a conservative country and his views are like conservative. But like he's gravitating towards these conservative views and he's listening to the people, he's listening to ideas that fit his own, and he's disregarding the other side of the opinion. He's disregarding the other side of the issue and he's ignoring them. Like he's commenting on it, but yet he's not doing what he's preaching.
Watch, that's great. If you don't, then there's plenty of creators to fill that void for you. But I will not be bullied into saying things that I don't believe in, or be apologetic for my opinions either. And if I'm cancelled, whatever that even means, then I will simply have more time to spend with my family. See ya.
Yeah, so it is again with like the condescending type behavior that he's been displaying. Just trying to say, oh, I'm not going to let anybody bully me into saying stuff that I don't believe in. And nobody's trying to bully you. You can have whatever views that you have. It's just been a surprise for a lot of people who saw you were neutral before. Like you said, you saw both sides of the situation. And then you suddenly went conservative in your videos. Like, you didn't do your research in the J.K. Rowling video, and now you're painting the other side as like this kind of hive mind. All these negative comments that I've showed, like that I showed that he's been doing. Like, I just don't understand what made him suddenly act this way. Because I don't even understand. I don't even understand. I just, because a lot of people have just taken issue with your comments, and instead of, doing the due diligence and doing the proper research like he's done in his previous videos, he's decided that he was just not going to do that. And it sucks. It really does suck. It sucks a lot. Like I don't know. I don't know. And there's like another comment by another person who said, Andrei, there's a lot of trans people in Rs too. You just don't see them because they hide, not because of some inherent culture in Rs that makes people less trans or something. They do it out of fear of being persecuted and oppressed by the rest of the society. The only way this changes is if people like you, who are not necessarily against trans people as a concept or people, speak out in support of them and make them feel welcome, safe in and safe to openly express themselves. And yeah, I agree. Like I agree. Like as I said before, I don't understand what prompted this, what prompted all of these comments, and why he's suddenly against people who don't have the same opinion of him. Like I don't understand where this came from. So moving on to the other video that he made, it was like the recent one on his channel. I'm going to skip over the Netflix one because if I comment on that, it's already going to take a long time, and I'll just like look at this video. The latest video on his channel is called Reacting to the Leftist Meltdown in My Comments. Like already you can see that he's already using language that puts down the other side, and yeah, I'll just play the video.
Hi, it's me again. Today we're gonna react to some comments I got on my recent videos because a lot of them are 1, delusional, and 2, borderline insane. And
like you guys can already understand the problem that I'm having, like not even a minute into the video, and he's already using things like, oh, these people are insane and delusional. It's the same language that he's been using in his other videos that he used to discredit the opinions and dismiss the opinions that people have been placing on the video. And mind you, like, it wasn't even that long that he's been posting these videos, and already he's like trying to perpetuate the issue, trying to double down and say all these comments, they're extreme, like look at how, you know, brain dead these people are. And it makes me mad, because as somebody who values other people's opinions, like, yes, you can have your opinions, but if you're going to have your opinions and yet not bother to understand what the other side is saying, and you're just going to diminish them, like that's a problem. That's a problem. I don't understand.
Shame to not look at them together and get some good old content out of this. So first and foremost, let's take a look at the channel sub count. We've got 2.
I don't understand. Like, the way that he, like, it hasn't even, like, I already watched this video already, y'all. Like, y'all, I have already watched this video. And the way he goes about reacting to these comments, like, it's concerning. Like, it's really, 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 really concerning. Like, he goes on and he looks at his sub count and he's saying, oh, look at my sub count, it's dropping, let's see how much it is after this video. And it's like, it's so, like, because he looks at the sub count again, like, towards the end of the video, and it's just so petty. It's so petty, and it's so condescending. Like, I don't understand why you think that this is funny. Like, I don't understand why you think that this is funny.
2,714,563 people on the channel right now. I'm giving you guys the insider sneak peek over here, okay? Because you don't have this on Social Blade anymore like you used to in the good old days. We're gonna check back on this at the end of the video. Now let's read some comments, shall we? Starting with the first video that kicked off this entire leftist avalanche, the Great Meltdown, as I like to call it. J.K. Rowling is so far into her transphobia, she literally started denying Nazi crimes against trans people to diminish their suffering. There's a lot lot to be upset about here, and I'm gonna start with this one in good faith because yes, I looked this up and there is some truth to the accusation. When someone said that Nazis burnt books about transgenderism, J.K. Rowling did tweet, "How did you type this out and press send without thinking I should maybe check my source for this because it might have been a fever dream?" And she was in fact wrong. They did apparently burn such books, but I mean, they burned a lot of books on a lot of topics, so making this just about the trans thing is a bit presumptuous, in my opinion.
Yeah, like, again, he only showed one screenshot. Like, Andrei already showed one screenshot about that particular incident, and I will agree with this. Like, during, when there's like a whole revolution and the new government is taken over, like, typically they end up burning books to try to get rid, or try to change culture to try to get rid of the old, regime, the old, ideas and stuff like that. They did it with the French Revolution. They did it with, the whole Nazi takeover. Like, yes, like, they did burn a lot of books to try and censor and oppress a lot of ideas. However, it's still something that we have to keep in mind for, like, it's still an important thing, especially considering that, J.K. Rowling, like, again, like I said earlier, I haven't heard about her saying stuff about the Nazis and stuff like that, so there might have been more comments or more interactions or more to the conversation that that she had between this other person or between other people. I will agree, like, when the Nazis take over, they did a lot of stuff and they oppressed a lot of they did a lot of bad stuff, and they oppressed so many ideas, and of course they harmed the Jews, the Holocaust, the whole thing, everybody knows about that. But still, the way that he's going about this, there's still a condescending air about his tone and the way that he's addressing this. I really don't think I already, like, this video didn't come off, like, the video that I started didn't, start off well. So yeah, I'll just...
And I love how this person closes their comment with, "There's a lot to be upset about here." I feel like this pretty much sums up the entire leftist mantra. Did someone mention J.K. Rowling? Yes. Did they call her a transphobe? No. Oh my god, there's a lot to be upset about here.
Yeah, again, like, the way that his tone, his language, the way that he's going about it, it's just condescending and dismissive. And he's just generalizing the whole issue. He's just generalizing a lot of the people that are in his comment setting and trying to put them in a box, saying, "Oh, it's just leftist propaganda, it's just leftist bullshit." And it's like, that's like, I've already repeated myself so many times about, why this is not a good look, and considering, like, content he'd made before, like...
YouTubers when they fall off.
I am Adolf Hitler.
I feel like this perfectly showcases one of the main reasons why nobody can take these people seriously. It's such a fractured logic. Okay, let's sketch this out. This circle represents actual Nazis, okay? And this circle over here represents someone who just has other priorities in life than to be a so-called trans ally. Now, just because there is a circumstantial overlap of 0.00001% here does not make the two circles equal. It's like
the amount of mental gymnastics that this person is doing in order to justify his viewpoints and to justify dismissing the other opinions that people have been saying in his comment section, like, it's just not, it's not professional. It's not... I've said this already. It's not a good look. These comparisons don't make sense because he's making it seem like this is what's happening in his comments. And yes, this can happen with the people who are on that extreme end, but the people that were criticizing him, the people who were criticizing him weren't the extremists. There were people who were gently telling him why his comments were problematic, and he's just dismissing them.
And leftists do this a lot, apparently. They hyperbolize everything to sound a lot worse than they actually are in reality, just to make their point, which is at the very least disingenuous. So let's go through this again. I made a video about two public figures having a public dispute, like I've been doing for years on the channel, by the way. To my mind, this was no different. Okay, J.K. Rowling and Emma Watson. And I simply did not mention that some people consider one of these two to be a monster, because I myself do not consider her to be the hyperbolic caricature of a monster that they see her as. Then they say, this is no good. You must say you are a trans ally or else. And I'm like, no. Shake my head.
The way that he's going about this, like, he doesn't understand, like, yes, like, people have taken issue with your videos because you weren't neutral in the video that you posted. Before, nobody had an issue before because you did your due diligence and you did your fucking research, but you didn't do that this time. You just brushed over why these two people had such disagreements in the first place. Like, there's a lot. If you can just research, do more than just, just do better research into the subject, you would understand why there's, a problem between, J.K. Rowling and people who are allies of the LGBTQ plus community and people who are LGBTQ plus. Like, and you, again, make it seem like it's just the extremists who are, coming after you, which is not entirely the case. Like, yes, there's going to be some out-of-pocket comments, it's like that with, every YouTube video that you get, and also everything that you post, there's bound to be somebody who's just saying out-of-pocket things and just acting out-of-pocket in general. And yeah, like, those comments that are, rude and, not really giving constructive criticism, like, you have every right to ignore those. But you have been ignoring the people who are actually giving you criticism. You're ignoring the people who are, actually telling you why they have taken issue into your video. And in this video, you've also decided to ignore, the comments that in the other video that you made about, your alt-right video. Like, I'm surprised that you're doubling down and you're not seeing the issue that people are having with you.
This isn't about politics, it's about human rights. J.K. Rowling is purposefully trying to take away trans people's rights, all in the name of safety for women and children. This whole video is a huge yikes. And
like, he didn't even bother reading the whole comment, and he I'll read the rest of it. For years, she has been treating about trans-music things towards trans people only. You blatantly not mentioning this fact is not good. The whole video is a huge fright, and it isn't going to age right. Yeah, like, it's not an ideology. It's human rights. It's just basic,
Listen, I see a lot of people mentioning that it's about human rights, and it's just not. Again, someone else says everyone should be treated equally. This isn't politics, it's humanity.
And look how he dislikes this particular comment.
Someone else goes, the problem with politicizing everything is that we forget that one side says some people don't deserve to live, while the other opposes that. Who says that they don't deserve to live?
J.K. Rowling, she's made lots of comments over the years that, pretty much make it harder for comments and actions that pretty much make it harder for trans people and LGBTQ plus people to live. Like, if you can just go on her Twitter, I'm sure you can find plenty of examples
Majority of people who are opposing or simply don't want anything to do with the trans cause do not wish death on anyone. They are simply saying, we don't want trans propaganda shoved down our throats.
And the fact that he's calling it propaganda, like this is some, you know, it's disgusting. It's really, really disgusting. Yes, I understand that in certain situations, politics should not be, you know, these types of topics shouldn't be in the forefront of certain things. Like I mentioned in my Godot video, the fact that Godot, the people behind Godot is trying to like turn it into like this woke quote unquote engine, and you know, trying to put, you know, political issues into the engine when it shouldn't be put into the engine. Like I understand that people are trying to like overdo it, and it's something that I already mentioned in my other video about the subject. Like they're not these like overly doing, the fact that they're overdoing it doesn't help normalize, you know, being trans. It doesn't help normalize being, you know, bi or pan or ace, you know, being queer. Like it doesn't normalize it when people like try to force it where it's not supposed to be. And like this is something that he mentioned in like the Netflix video. Like there's a time and place for everything. Like I am of the opinion of that. And you know, for children, you know, it's really important that you know, like, you know, there's a time and place for when they start, you know, needing to learn certain things. But I feel like if you find a method that explains it to it in a way that they understand and tries to normalize it, if they're at the age where they're starting to meet other people and they're trying to interact with their peers, I feel like it's about that time where you start, you know, teaching them about different types of people and the different people that they might meet when they're traveling or as they get older. Like, and especially, you know, teaching them about their bodies and, you know, and that they have control over their bodies, and if something doesn't feel right, you know, you have the power to like let someone know that, hey, you know, this doesn't feel right, or hey, like, you know, you express yourself in the way I want. Like, because at a certain point, you know, children want to be able to, you know, start making the decisions for themselves and, you know, start having autonomy over their bodies. And like, yeah, I'm not saying that you should just coddle them and spoil them. There has to be a middle ground. When you have to start teaching these skills to children over long, like allowing them to make certain decisions about themselves and about the way that they want to live. Like, obviously try to find a middle ground. You know, if there's something that's obviously harmful for the child and, you know, it's going to affect their health, like, obviously don't let them do that. But if they want to express themselves in a way that they are comfortable, then you should facilitate that. Yes, there are going to be children that may bully them for like the stuff that they wear, but that's been a common thing since like the dawn of time, probably, you know, since society. Children are going to find lots of reasons to bully other children, and that at that point it's important that you teach your child that if somebody is like bullying you, that you go to somebody you trust. And it's also really important that I say that it's really important that you listen to your children. You know, if the children's trying to get your child's trying to get your attention, and you're not listening to them, and you're not listening to their opinions, and you're not listening to what they have to say or their feelings on certain things, it's going to develop problems later in life as they become adults and, you know, they want to make their own decisions, or they want to, you know, have somebody to confide in, but they end up, you know, having problems in those areas, you know. Perfect example, I can speak from experience.
And certainly not polluting the brains of our children. Leftists,
yeah, like I just said, I just talked about that.
keep saying this is about human rights, but human rights are generally understood as the right to live, the right to have access to food, the right to breathe clean air, drink clean water, the freedom of thought, such as, I mean, that's a part of it,
I mean, it can get like pretty tricky. Like there's like nuance to like this whole thing, and I feel like it's something that, people should have like it to like open up dialogue and debate. I feel like, because it's been like, again, like they talked about this in class, like they talked about this in class, like, oh, I wasn't showing this, but yeah, incredibly scuffed, but like, there was like this whole thing about, yeah, like just give people, free, like the ability to make their own decisions and stuff like that. Eventually they're gonna do things for, for like the greater good. Like, they were talking about, certain like societies, like certain like forms of like government and stuff like that. And, like, certain ideas that they had at the time, for like socialism and stuff like that, or like have, you know, like the enlightened, like, I don't know, I'm getting myself mixed up, but the point is that back in the day there were some people that believe that, they had like a positive outlook on people, and if you just allow people to like have the right to vote, or like make certain decisions, and and stuff like that, they would, do things for the good of the people and stuff like that. But then my teacher brought up, like, there's people who are going to make decisions that aren't for the good of the people, and so should we give them rights? It's a good conversation to have. It's like an interesting like conversation to have, but the way that he's making it seem like he's like leaving out a lot of things having to do with human rights and stuff like that.
No, maybe the right to not be forced to declare yourself an ally to a movement you.
And he focuses on this too. Like he's trying to use this as a way to like, he's trying to use this as a way to like justify himself as to why he doesn't want to at least listen to the people that's criticizing him.
Simply don't care that much about? Do you see the hypocrisy here? If you're looking for a trans ally in me, you're not gonna find one. Oh my god, WTF! You cannot be an ally without personally knowing someone of that group? Damn, I can't support a lot of things then. And yeah.
And notice that he also disliked this one too. Like a lot of the comments that he's showing, it's not showing the top ones from the videos. He's just trying to pick people. He's picking and choosing, and he's not paying attention to the comments where a lot of the top comments where a lot of the conversation is being held.
That's exactly right. You're onto something here. You don't have to be an ally of everything. I can finally see a couple of neurons moving over there.
And again, with the condescending attitude,
and by the way, it is my human right to say that I don't have the same interests and priorities as some of you other outspoken people out there. Listen, if somebody were to say, this person who just happens to consider themselves the opposite sex should not have the right to food, water, or to be alive, I will 100% think, yeah, that is wrong. But not because they think they're the opposite sex, because they are a human being first and foremost.
And that's the whole issue in regards to J.K. Rowling, and he's purposefully ignoring that. That's something that she has been saying for years. She's been saying that, yeah, these groups of people, they shouldn't be allowed in healthcare, they shouldn't be allowed in, like, public bathrooms, they shouldn't be allowed near this, they don't deserve to have this, and this. And he's saying that he won't support them, that ideology, because because they're human beings, and he's conveniently ignoring the fact that that's what J.K. Rowling has been doing. And it's like he's saying that, ignoring the fact that J.K. Rowling doesn't see the trans people as humans. That's the whole issue that people have been taking issue with, and he's you see the hypocrisy. You see the hypocrisy.
That's how human rights work. The same applies to any person who has any thoughts whatsoever. Whatever is in this thought bubble here does not matter to me. You're a man who thinks he's a woman, you have the same rights as me. You're someone obsessed with Pokemon who wants to paint themselves yellow, I am going to...
Yeah, and he just mentioned that, oh, if you're a man who thinks you're a woman, you have the same rights as me. But J.K. Rowling is not of that opinion. Do you see? Do you see where the discrepancies lie? Do you see where there's problems and things don't add up? Do you see?
personally judge you, but you do have the same rights as me. What you don't have is extra rights. Because this whole movement... judge you, but you do have the same rights as me. What you don't have is extra rights. Because this whole movement is, in my opinion, about gaining rights that all the rest of us don't get. What left...
That's not... That's not true. That's not true. That's not what the whole movement is about. What you just said, like, the whole movement is equal rights. For the trans people. We're not saying the trans for the trans people, for the LGBTQ plus people, we're not saying that we should get extra stuff because we're trans or because we're, you know, ace or whatever. We're saying that we just want to be treated the same as, you know, people who are straight or who are cis, you know, who aren't trans. You know, we just want the same rights. I'm sure y'all are seeing the hypocrisies and the false statements that he has been saying so far. Like, he's making it out to seem like, you know, we're requesting extra rights and we're taking away rights from other people. That's not what the whole movement's about. And it shows that he does not understand the struggles that, you know, the whole community has been going through. And it's sad. It's sad. It's so sad.
Leftists call basic human rights is actually special rights that in some situations even override the rights of the rest of
So that's not what we're saying. That's not what we're saying.
The people. So there's the paradox. If I'm ever in a situation where I have to speak up, if these are the rights that you're being denied, then yes, I will say that that is wrong. But for these rights over here, I will not. This aspect over here is not very complicated. And just because the so-called trans allies consider these to be on the same level as these, that does not mean everyone should too. And by the way, the moment leftists cheered for the conservative guy being killed, you lost me on the human rights argument. Because you can't support human rights for these people, but deny this guy the #1 human right, which is the right to life.
And that's, I mean, for the people who celebrated Charlie Kirk's death, like, I am not of the opinion, I do not wish death on people like that, like people who are celebrating that. Like, shame on y'all. Like, shame on y'all. But the whole thing surrounding Charlie Kirk's death is kind of ironic because he was advocating for gun rights, but he, while ignoring the side of the people who were concerned about gun rights because, you know, all the school shootings and stuff like that, and the dangers of it, and he ends up being shot. So it's just another dialogue that needs to be opened, but like I don't, the people who were celebrating his death, like, out of pocket, unacceptable, like, unacceptable. You can't, and it's the issue with, you know, wanting somebody to die just because they don't share the same opinion as you. It crosses into dangerous territory because it's a lot of, it's the same, it's like an opinion that is seen on both extremes, you know, wanting people to be killed because of the views or the lifestyle that they have. And it's something that's, you know, done on a governmental level, as I said before, in Saudi Arabia. They kill people who are LGBTQ+, and they also kill people who advocate for women's rights too over there. You know, they've killed journalists and stuff. So, you know, but the fact that he's making it seem like this is what, you know, all the leftists are. It's just, that's not true. You know, that's not true. Like,
because that's what you're doing when you laugh at somebody dying. You're saying that his life is meaningless. And that's the difference between you guys and myself and others who think along the same lines as me.
and here he is again, you know, making it seem like it's the left, that's the bad guy, that's the extreme ones, and he's just the victim, he's the normal person.
I believe both of these people deserve the same rights, not more, not less. Someone says you forgot your target audience. And you know what the irony is? I never cultivated a quote-unquote target audience. What I thought was happening on this channel was, you know, speaking my mind. And whoever came around and was interested in what I was saying stuck around and listened to other things that I was saying. That's what I thought I was doing. But apparently everybody knew that my audience included a lot of extremists from the left, and I'm the last one to find out about it. Yikes, yikes, yikes. Saying that leftists tried to bully you into submission shows just where your mind is. What you say is bullying is people attempting to educate you on a topic you clearly have no clue about. How about no? How about I'm a grown adult and I don't care to be quote-unquote educated by random strangers on the internet?
I'm sure everybody knows how problematic the statement is. Like, again, trying to dismiss the opinions that people have been expressing to him, and just dismissing and not really understanding his audience. Like, he doesn't understand his audience and he's just dismissing it. Kind of just it really shows. It really shows, and it's really disappointing, because before, like I've said so many times before, he made content that looked at both sides of the situation, and he showed the nuance and he was neutral. But these videos that he's been making has not been like that, and I really don't know what prompted him to think that this was appropriate to do. I really don't understand why he suddenly is saying these polarizing statements. And I'm kind of concerned because, you know, with the state of the world going on and how the governments are trying to, you know, pin people against each other, and also trying to oppress and surveillance, you know, their citizens, like, and then you're seeing all these people and they're becoming less and less they're becoming less and less tolerant of, you know, being neutral. They're becoming less and less tolerant of other people and their lifestyles and their viewpoints. And I understand that there are people like that on the left side, but there are also people like that on the right side. And the way that you're speaking to the people who are trying to educate you on the struggles and the movement, and the fact that you're just putting all these labels on them and, you know, making all these character attacks against them, and generalizing the group when that's not the case. Like, I don't understand. Like, it's just really frustrating. This is just another repeat. Well, it's not a complete repeat, but it's just another instance of the 𝘂𝗶𝗱𝗲 situation, where he's made videos that made people upset, and instead of taking a step back and looking at the situation and understanding why people are upset, he's just doubling down and just continuing to make videos that do nothing but talk down to these people and try to, you know, make stuff that's, you know, more concerning and stuff like that, and then saying like, oh, because these people are leaving, I'm now free from trying to please people. And it's stupid. It's so stupid.
Again, human rights. You have no right to force your self-appointed authority to educate me on any topic whatsoever. LOL, hardcore liberals need to stop harassing people expressing their opinions because it radicalizes the people they're annoyed at. I would not be surprised if he would not have made this video if the J.K. Rowling video didn't get arbitrary harassment for no reason. Oh, 100%. I had no investment in this topic at all. And I think going through this myself, I can see how people get radicalized. I wasn't thinking about any of this, but now I am. I've never heard of this YouTuber before, and yet I still feel disappointed in him. I don't know if this is meant to be ironic, but if this person is actually being honest here, it's just another example of how these people think. And I want nothing to do with you guys. We're gonna have some work ahead of us in the near future because we have to purge a lot of these people from the channel. If there is anyone among you who is capable of understanding and listening to arguments from someone who thinks differently than you, then I welcome them to stay. I don't want everyone to unsubscribe, but these hardcore leftists, you gotta go. Speaking of which, let's take a look at the sub count to see how it's doing. 2,713,435. Judging by the like to dislike ratio on my recent videos, it looks like it's about 50-50. 2.7 million divided by 2, that's 1.35 million. We've got about 1.3 million to shed. Alright, if this is what it takes, let's do this. Oh, and by the way, before I go, just wanted to give a shout out to this guy. He made a donation to the channel. He didn't have to, but this was really nice of you. I appreciate it very much. I was not expecting this at all. And there you have it. I'll see you guys in the next one. And don't worry, I'm gonna keep you updated on that sub count for as long as this goes on. See ya!
The fact that we have to purge these people. So, you have to purge these people. The way he's, like I said, he shows the sub count again, and the continuation of like just being condescending and dismissive, and then proceeds to continue to use language and put labels and talk down to the people who are criticizing your video. Like, this has just been really, it's just been really disappointing, to be honest, because, you know, at a time where it's really important that we stand up and we defend our right to live, our right to exist, our right to, you know, support others who are going through the same thing or are struggling, and then you have people like this come up and try to deny our opinions, try to deny, you know, our right to, you know, exist alongside with the quote-unquote normal people. Like, I can't truly, like, my frustration truly can't be put into words. And like I've said before, I follow this person because they made content that was informative and was neutral. But I've since unsubscribed from Andrei since this whole situation, like since I've learned of the situation, and as like I've been watching the videos that has been put out by him, and as somebody who supports who values human rights, because, you know, it affects me and it affects a lot of people across the globe, having this person say all of these comments and then dismiss all the people that are criticizing him, like, I cannot support this person anymore, because it's really important to me, and it's really important to a lot of people who want other groups of people, who wants themselves and other groups of people to be on equal footing, to be on equal standing. But yeah, I know this video is going to be really, really long. But I'm just going to try and edit this as fast as I can and put it out. And yeah, I will post the other videos that I had planned. I'm still working on them. But yeah, oh, another thing that just popped up. Like the fact that he brought up that one comment that donated to him, he's just, I don't know, he's on something. He must be, he must be, I don't know. It's stupid and petty. I'm just really frustrated. I'm just so mad. Like, y'all, please continue to call this person out. Please continue, but again, be respectful. No death threats. No witch hunts. But like, please continue to, you know, give your criticism as long as it's respectful. Like, don't be, you know, trying to, you know, garner a hate mob. But like, I want to continue this conversation. I want to continue, you know, people. I want to encourage people to continue advocating for human rights and for equal and for trans rights and for LGBTQ plus rights, because it's really important, especially in this day and age where governments and people where governments and certain individuals are trying their best to oppress people. So yeah, I'm going to, you know, I'm gonna head out. Please be nice to each other. Please be kind to the people around you. And I will see you guys in the next videos, whichever comes first, either the 3DS one. No, the Sims ones will come next after this, and then the 3DS one. But bye guys. Take care.